What is the best thing that has ever happened to you between 3 a.m. to 5 a.m.? Alone on a business trip in Hong Kong. My sleep was screwed up due to the time zone shift and I'd spent the evening attempting to compensate with alcohol. Returning to the hotel at 3 a.m. I'm still not sleepy and I notice next door to the hotel is one of those little HK bars up on the 3rd or 4th floor, so I decide to go up for a nightcap. It's dark and smoky with a few businessmen in groups and alone hunched over their drinks. I was the only foreigner in the bar and nobody even looked up when I came in. I ordered a drink and wandered over to the vacant karaoke machine. As an introvert, the mere presence of a karaoke machine is enough to keep me outside of a party. But secretly I've always wanted to try it. So I think, here I am on the far side of the earth 1,000 miles from anyone who knows me. Why not? The waiter was at my elbow in an instant. He showed me the English language songs. Unfortunately, a few weeks prior, I had been to a party where some girls had done a beautiful, spontaneous rendition of ABBA's Dancing Queen, so for some reason I thought I could sing that. Then the waiter said I had to pick a second song, so I chose Strangers in the Night. I thought it would be like when you sing along with the radio in your car but suddenly the song is going and there are no vocals. Then I start singing about an octave above my range. It was brutal. As I muscled through Strangers, my face was bathed in sweat. Finally it ended. I slumped into my chair, vowing never to karaoke again. All this time, not one person in the bar even looked in my direction. Then slowly one young guy, drunk with his necktie loose and a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, swung his chair around and gave me a slow clap. "Just enjoy," he said. "Just enjoy." I think about that phrase all the time when I take myself too seriously. I've even done karaoke again. I went to a donut shop in my town. They open at 4 and always run out of good donuts by the time I'm awake, so I finally got try one. It was pretty good. Since several people have already answered with SX, I'll go with something different. One Saturday night during my freshman year in college, I was up a little later than usual. I can't remember if I had just gotten back from a party or what, but I was out in the hall of my dorm building just before 3 a.m. when I saw one of the other guys who lived on the floor. He was an extremely nice guy and we were buddies, but not exactly close friends. I asked him where he was going, and he said he did a show on the college radio station 3 to 5 a.m. every Sunday morning. Then he asked me if I wanted to go with him. Being the adventurous 19-year-old guy that I was, I decided to go for it. I had never even been in a radio station before, so the whole experience was new to me. The studio was really interesting. We had a couple of guest DJs come in at times, and we got to play whatever music we wanted. We even had a few people call in to talk to us, which I hadn't expected at that hour. The whole experience was so unique and enjoyable for me that it's really stuck in my memory. Also, that dude and I went on to become very good friends, and even now, more than 12 years later, we're still very good friends. I'd say that night was one of the key moments that turned a buddy into a best friend. Other than sex, that's probably the best thing to ever happen to me from 3 to 5 a.m. TL, Doctor, I got to do a radio show and ended up becoming extremely good friends with the guy. Went to downtown Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, and yes, it is safe to roam in downtown at that time, and got a whole pizza for $6. Took the pizza to the Inner Harbor 2 blocks away, sat there, enjoyed the view and ate my pizza. My then boyfriend and I came back from the New Year's party we were at. We lit a bunch of candles, tuned out the lights and sat on the couch talking for 2 hours about everything. On a whim, he turns to me and asks, "Will you be my wife?" Getting dragged to a house party I didn't want to be at. Ended up meeting an old co-worker / good friend who I crushed on for a few years while we worked retail together but never made a move. Turned out she felt the same. Been together for 3 years and changed now. Easily the best night of my life so far. I simply love being outside around 4 to 5 a.m. Just me, the streets, and the weird ass dude following me. I write all my English assignments at that time. I'm philosophical when I'm tired, and my professor seems to love my unique style of thinking. Edit, so I guess we all like to get drunk and do our English homework. My older brother and I often pulled all-nighters and watched movies all night long and just generally made memories that we are sure to take for granted. One of these occasions was a chilly December night and my brother and I were laying listening to music and simply enjoying the moment. This is Texas, so it rarely gets too cold, but my brother decides to go get a blanket. When he returns he utters the words, "Look outside." I stick my head out the front door and am awed by what I see. Snow. Untouched. Pristine. White. A fresh blanket of snow was covering everything in sight. Keep in mind, this is a city in Texas where it snows maybe once or twice a year or sometimes not at all. And on the rare occasions it does snow, there is maybe 1 or 2 inches of snow. But on this night, there was several inches of snow. So much so that my foot sank into the ground as I took my first step outside into this strange frozen utopia. My brother and I simply glance at one another and without saying a word we dart outside. It felt like we had been bestowed the highest privilege to be the ones to make the first marks upon these mounds of snow. I'll never forget the euphoria and just pure happiness diving into the snow and doing somersaults so late at night. It was as if the snow was meant for us and only us. Dunno about best, but I'll share my most memorable experience. I was 10 years old and it was 2 a.m. on a Saturday morning. For some reason my mom was wide awake and bored, so she woke me up and asked if I wanted to go eat at the local 24-hour truck stop diner. I agree, and we enjoy an early breakfast in a mostly empty restaurant. It's probably 3:30 a.m. when we get home, and as we are pulling into the driveway we see movement. Mom turns off the car and the headlights, and on our back steps we see 2 large, fat raccoons just loitering there. We sit and watch them for about a minute until they shuffle off. 21st birthday in Vegas. Realized my wallet was missing, so went and backtracked, not really expecting to find it. Some bum had it and stopped me. He said something along the lines of, "Damn, I can't believe him doing this, but happy birthday. I saw you drop it, but when I saw it was your ID and birthday I decided to wait a while for you to come back. You're lucky." I was just about to leave and he busted up laughing, walking away. It had credit cards and like $250 cash. And he didn't even touch it. Ended up giving the guy the $50 just out of sheer drunken happiness that I had it back, ha ha ha. I was on a cruise ship with some friends I had made, when we decided to order room service at 3 a.m. 30 minutes later, 6 cheeseburgers, a bucket of chicken tenders, 3 large fries and a glass of chocolate milk are delivered to our door. Greatest meal ever. We had been at a party until 3:30ish. We arrived at the station a little past 4 a.m. to see that the next train to our hometown was past 5 a.m. It was summer, and it was raining. The building where you could wait for the trains and buses was closed as it is during the nights. I was tired, in that blissful way that can only be caused by a good alcohol buzz. No one else was at the station, except for a man sleeping on a bench, and we didn't pay much notice to him. She asked me if we could listen to music, and I found my iPod. We each took an earbud and had to stand really close, so they wouldn't fall out. And before I knew what was happening, we started dancing. Just slowly dancing around on the station in the rain, really close to each other. And that's when we had our first kiss. Waking up in my bed to the rain pounding the roof. I get up, put on my slippers and head to the living room. Fireplace is still warm as cat is still sleeping over it. I walk to the kitchen, have a glass of sparkling water, look out the window, see the beautiful summer night outside. It's literally the middle of the night, but yet the sun is to set. This being Finland, it's not unusual for the midsummer. I reach out for my fridge, find an unopened bottle of beer and get outside. When I get there, it's peaceful. It's still raining. I open my beer, sit down on a tree stump and ponder life for what seems an eternity. I get back inside and throw some logs in the fireplace. The cat yawns and curls up again. The dry lumber catches fire and crackles. I stare in the fireplace. Is this it? I ask myself. Happiness? Another sip. Is this what I have been looking for my whole life? I empty the bottle and head back to bed. My so is sleeping. I hug him, he smiles. I pull the sheet over us and we both catch sleep. This just happened tonight. Well, last night. It's 3:30 AM right now where I am. I have really bad social anxiety that I use to manage with excessive alcohol use. Well, I have been 9 months sober now and really struggling to enjoy spending time with friends for the whole time I have been sober. Anyway, tonight I spent all night at a gathering of close mates and just spent the whole time laughing and joking and talking. Pretty normal stuff for most people, but an amazing feeling for me. So cut to me getting home, sticking on Spotify and browsing Reddit, feeling genuinely happy for a change. Well, this summer I went to this camp called Boys State. The camp was about learning how to run a mock government for a week. It sounds like it would be fun, but from the late night conventions to the speeches and budgeting it got pretty intense fast. The guys at the camp were so reserved at first, but towards the end we became really great friends. On the last night we snuck in Taco Bell at 3 AM and sat and ate while talking about each other's lives and futures. Although I haven't seen any of those guys since, and the Taco Bell caused my bowels to unleash the next morning, I will always remember that night. I have a non-verbal autistic 7-year-old son. He still sleeps in a bed in the same room with my wife and I. He tends to sleep fitfully, and often gets up at 3 or 3:30, including 5 times this week, usually staying awake until about 5. He's almost never unhappy. He just wants to play, laugh, snuggle in our master bed, look out the window at an open field, and jump up and down on the bed. My wife usually just sleeps through, or goes to another room, but I can't. Even as I get frustrated that he won't sleep, I can never be mad. Even though I am very tired, there's this amazing surreal quality to these late night play sessions. Eventually we both go back to sleep, and the next morning I often don't remember much. But I have a smile on my face. People often talk about what they've lost having a severely disabled child. But there's this amazing quality of shining, blistering presentness that my son shines on me and our family every day. It is truly a gift. Even though I'm kinda tired all the time, my little sister saved my life. Edit, story time. I'm not sure where to start, so I will start when things started getting out of hand. My girlfriend left me and I was having trouble paying all the bills by myself, so I got involved with some bad people. I met a new girl, and we instantly hit it off. Time moves forward, she gets pregnant, then has a miscarriage. She leaves me and starts sleeping around. The bad people I was spending time with started giving me copious amounts of Molly, cocaine, acid, Xanax, really anything that would make me feel better. On the come down from that hell week I decided to kill myself. My little sister found me unconscious and called 911 and sat with me in the hospital until I was cleared to leave. This was 2 weeks ago. One time in high school, my parents left for vacation and I had the house to myself for a week. It was during the middle of the week, and I had some brothers over to just hang out. We smoked and talked for a while in that way you only do late at night. I was experiencing some lady trouble at the time and was pretty beat up about it, and they knew it. I went to sleep earlier than everyone else, just kinda out of depression. A little bit later, they all came into my room, about 6 of them, all shirtless, singing Oasis's Wonderwall to me. I honestly wish I was lying. It was really unsettling at first, but something about it really cheered me up. Just that they knew I was beat up about it and knew I needed the WTF factor to get me out of the funk I was in. TLDR, 6 shirtless men sang Wonderwall to me to cheer me up. The other day I'm down at this club and I see a girl, no solid 10, but she's at least an 8. Anyway, she's given me this stare that could make a grown man cry. So I go over to her. Reaching for my phone to get her number, I realized I left my drink at the counter. I just spent $9 for this shit, I'm not leaving it. So I turn back around. Even though my back was turned for just a second, she was gone. I looked around and couldn't find her. I checked every corner of the place, but she was nowhere to be found. Eventually I decided it was time to go. I would never have good LAFC me eyes girl. 5 minutes after I left the club, I'm walking home. I live close enough that I can just walk, when I hear an awful scream. I ran toward the sound to see a homeless man slowly advancing on this girl, who had been backed into a corner. I ran toward him, grabbed his tattered shirt, and threw him to the ground. The girl saw me, I saw her, and she was the same one from the club. Determined to get her to my bedroom, I took her by the hand and led her to my apartment building. We started making out outside and quickly moved it upstairs. Once in my room, I tried to remove her shirt. Darkness spread across the room, and I thought this was it. We were going for it. Things got hot and heavy, and I'm about to slip it in, right? But then she leans in and says, in the sexiest voice I've ever heard, "You should read the first letter of every paragraph."